Leather breeze beneath my palm, glass ring on old oak grain. Rain walks slow down the window, the whole room listening in. I don't raise my voice, the walls remember. Smoke hangs still, like it knows my name. I don't chase the hour, the hour waits here in this amber hush. I barely have to say a thing. Cufflink, catching lamplight, small sun in the dark. Watch face taken under linen, too patient to remark. One sleeve slightly folded, inclined at the wrist. Chair leaned back an inch, just enough to make a point. Don't raise my voice, the walls remember. Smoke hangs still, like it knows my name. I don't chase the hour waits here in this amber hush. I barely have to say a thing. Key ring quiet on the desktop, black car sleeping in the rain. Telephone turned on its belly, no hurry to explain. A single page beside the glass, unsigned but understood. My shadow on the window says more than any promise could. Door clicks off, coat stays on the chair. Heavy desk, black glass, one pen, one stare. Polished shoes parked by the edge of the rug. Ashtray, one line of smoke, curling slow and snug. Clock handling, but I don't chase time. Paper stack clean, like a quiet crime. Leather on my palms, ink in my veins. I balance what I carry, never say the weight. I leave the weight in the room, walk out light as a shadow. Calm on my cuff, dust on my shoes, eyes on tomorrow. I don't raise my voice, the silence already moved. When I stand, the air adjusts. I leave the weight in the room. Lamp throws gold in a tight small ring, face stays plain while the phone lines ring. Names on the folder, stories in the file. Every deal of stone I place in a single pile. Tie still straight when the talks turn cold. Hands stay flat on a grain dark oak. I don't trade in stones for a little applause. I sign once, breathe once, let the metal doors lock. I'll leave the weight in the room, walk out light as a shadow. Calm on my cuff, dust on my shoes, eyes on tomorrow. I don't raise my voice, the silence already moved. When I stand, the air adjusts. I leave the weight in the room. Cut crystal, dark wood, buttercup, they understood. Sleeves pressed sharp on the arm of the chair, one ring catching that low amber flare. Leather on the back, untouched, still straight. He leans an inch forward, whole room hits the brakes. Folder on the desk, corners line exact, pen cap parallel, silver on black. He checks his watch once, not to see the time, more to see who watches, who falls back in line. Cufflinks, heavy feel to set in his wrist. Tie not perfect, not a thread out of place. He nods one time, conversation shifts. Names get careful, voices lose their bass. Glass holds its shape in his hand. Slow swirl, dark, dark, quiet command. He don't have to say what he is, you can read it in the way the room stands. Glass holds its shape in his hand. Never in his face, venom soft, keeps his air safe. Chair stays center, feet flat, grounded. Every move measured, nothing rounded. Phone face down, screen off black. If it lights up once, someone steps back. Coats come off, then go back on. Nobody sure how long they've been gone. He signs one page, slide of the thumb, no flourish, no rush. Outcome done, door clicks soft, people filing tools. Each one studying the shine on his shoes. Glass holds its shape in his hand. Slow swirl, dark burn, quiet command. He don't have to say what he is, you can read it in the way the room stands. Glass holds its shape in his hand. Slow swirl, dark burn, quiet command. He don't have to say what he is, you can read it in the way the room stands. Glass holds its shape in his hand. Polished shoes on stone, lowland, breathing gold. Dust turns slow in air like time. Held in a hole. Long hallway waiting, walls listening in. Air presses closer as a shadow slips in. Coat sleeve, cuff length, brushed wool at his wrist. You feel his quiet before you know he exists. He is a man before his name, carved in the space he never claimed. You know the weight before the word. You feel the silence, not the sound you heard. Every step already there in the air, in the air, in the air. Elevator doors, mouth a muted steel. Numbers hum softly, clock hands barely wheel. Leather faint cologne, old paper, winter rain. You stand up straighter and you cannot say why or explain. He is a man before his name, carved in the space he never claims. You know the weight before the word. You feel the silence, not the sound you heard. Every step already there in the air, in the air, in the air. No glance announced it, no phrase, no plea. Just the room adjusting around what you can't quite see. Your own voice smaller, your own breath tame, and still you recognize him long before his name. He is a man before his name, carved in the space he never claims. You know the weight before the word. You feel the silence, not the sound you heard. Every step already there in the air, in the air, in the air. Amber on the crystal, shadows on his cuff. Cigar ash, slow snowfall breath held long enough. Dark suit, one open button, wristwatch turned inward, face down, ice melts like it's rehearsed. Every drip, keeping count, he doesn't chase the silence. The silence waits in his hand. Eyes barely trace the doorway, like he already knows the plan. Stillness like gravity, everything falls in line. He never has to raise his voice, the room adjusts his spine. Cards, confessions, alibis, all circle back on cue. Stillness like gravity, pulling the night straight through. He taps ash over secrets, they hover, then disappear. Sleeves smell faintly of cedar cologne, a decade of years. Names are poured like whiskey, measured, never spilled. He lifts one brow a fraction, and every argument is killed. Eyes on the second hand, watching how it hesitates. He lives in the half-beat where other people break. Stillness like gravity, tables lean into his orbit. One gesture, a fraction of breath, and every straight thought reformed. Promises hang in the smoke, afraid to slip out of view. Stillness like gravity, until you're pulled in two. Stillness like gravity, you swear you always knew. He stands, the air remembers. Chair sighs and forgets. Footsteps fade down the hallway. The room wears its silhouette. Smoke moves slow, clock blinks red, file stack leans like it wants to beg. Pressure walks in, takes the chair opposite. Breath holds his breath, paint cracks in the corner. His hand near the glass, knuckles pale but steady, jaw set like a verdict, waiting to be spoken. He don't bend, he carves, he don't bleed, he stars. Room leans hard, he leans harder, weight meets wall, he grows sharper. like a closed ledger. Names in his memory crossed out in silence. Throat burns clean, whiskey still untouched. Every promise on the desk pinned under his stare. Air grows heavier, words out before they start. Fear gets measured, ounce by ounce. He don't bend, he calls, he don't plead. He stalls, room leans hard, he leans harder. Way meets wall, he grows sharper. He don't bend, he freezes, he don't beg. He seizes, room comes close, he comes closer. Pressure breaks, he stands sober. Smoke draws a halo, never reaches skin. Glass sweats, waits, he doesn't drink or give in. He don't bend, he don't bend, he don't bend, he don't bend, yeah. Black car at the curb, door crack, let it breathe. Rain on the crown, street lights stuck on amber, cigar tip hanging, tiny red planet in my hand. Jacket still warm from the room I just left behind. Whiskey on my breath, reading time more than days. You can hear me coming and what I don't say. I keep asking questions, I answer by staying still. I don't chase the night, I stand and the night leans in. World keeps moving fast around me, I just wait, doors decide to open. Me, quiet face, slow sweep of the hand, car door open like it's been expecting this pause. Driver knows the drill, engine humming at a whisper, conversation at the corner softens when I pass. Every step measured like I've already arrived. Nothing to prove to a city that's trying too hard. I don't chase the night, I stand and the night leans in. World keeps moving fast around me, I just wait and doors decide to open. humming in the corner, folder yawning on the desk, leather sighs under his shoulder, rain lists its reasons on the glass. Last laugh still hangs in the ceiling, cold cups crooked on their rings, jackets gone, their scent still drifting, names and numbers scattered thin. He straightens chairs like loose sentences, lines them up, quiet repair. Ashtray full of small abandonments, stale smoke stitched into the air. Someone signs for what the room consumes. Time, attention, little fraying seams. He is paid to notice, not to name. He is here to hold it, not to lean. The cost lives in the way his jaw stays calm, in the way his gaze stays clean. He carries every almost broken moment, then walks out, leaving everything unseen. Clock face tipped a little sideways, ink bruise on his second cup, agenda folded like a secret, nothing said, yet said enough. He remembers who sat furthest from the door, who watched the exit, who watched him, marks it down behind his breathing, filed where the light runs thin. When someone sighs for what the room consumes, patience, silence, all the swallowed lines. He is built to listen past the words, to stand steady as the weather turns inside. The price is in the nights that end like this, hand on the switch, heart off the sleeve. He keeps the shape of everyone together, then steps into the rain with nothing to retrieve. Lamb of the amber halo, cut glass on an old map, one chair pulled half an inch, like someone thought of leaving. Coat on the rack, creases hold their own stories, cufflinks on the table, cold little moons in a straight line, ash curling slow, never rush to fall. Clock ticks once, then seems to wait and listen. The room knows my name before a word lands. Shadows lean in when my hand finds the glass. I stand still, even halfway to the melt. You can feel it, how the air stands up and answers. Door stays shut, but the hallway straightens itself. Bottle left open, label turned toward my side. Folder on the desk, edges squared with the grain. Pen cap, yet the page keeps its distance. The room knows my name before a word lands. Shadows lean in when my hand finds the glass. I stand still, even halfway to the melt. You can feel it, how the air stands up and answers. Half full glass, ring on the desk, leather cracked like an old map pressed. Smoke hangs crooked in a yellowed frame. Clock keeps talking, but it won't say names. Jacket on a chair, creased at the seams. Cufflinks in a dish catch the lamplight's gleam. Folders fanned out like quiet demands. Ink on his fingers, same place as his hands. Phone face down, it buzzes, then rests. He counts to 10, just watching his chest. Breath comes steady like a factory line. He signs another page in a stranger's life. He wears the cost of power like a tailored suit, stitched in silence, lined in truth, buttoned at the throat, never lose. He wears the cost of power like a tailored suit, hangs it on a hook, but it don't let go. Follows him home in the seams of his coat. Picture on the wall, kids in the sun, all of them laughing eyes on the one who stayed in the office late that year. Missed the season to manage the fear. Ash in the tray, spelled his name once. He brushed it aside like somebody's wrong. Lamp hums low over yesterday's news. Headlines folded where his fingerprints bruise. He could leave the keys on the wooden tray, walk barefoot down to a quiet place, trade this heavy oak for an open sky. But the lines he drew keep circling his eyes. He wears a cost of power like a tailored suit, measured shoulders, iron true, fabric smooth over every bruise. He wears a cost of power like a tailored suit, hangs it by the door as the daylight goes, but he waits on the chair when the dawn window glows. He drains what's left, sets sets the glass down slow, straightens the leather until it almost holds. Smoke writes his name, then lets it fade. He turns out the lamp, walks into the shade. Black jacket pressed at the cuff, low light cutting his jaw in half. Smoke hangs like it's listening in, glass turns under the weight of his hand. Leather sighs when he leans back slow, gold watch caught in a candle glow. Some laugh breaks on the back of the room, then folds like it knows to move. Every eye on the man in the doorway, half in the dark, half in the heat. Silhouette sharp as a short answer, ice in his glass, fire in his reach. He don't say a word for a long breath, lets the quiet lean into his sleep. Every eye on the man in the doorway, like he's choosing who gets to leave. Shirt collar open, one breath down, pulse hidden deep under steady ground. His thumb traces the rim, once tiny ring taps out a patient count. Someone straightens a chair too loud, laughter thins at the edge of the crowd. He lifts the drink, watches it catch the shade, slow sip that makes the whole room wait. Every eye on the man in the doorway, half in the dark, half in the heat. Silhouette sharp as a short answer, eyes in his glass, fire in his reach. He don't say a word for a long breath, lets the quiet lean into his sleep. Gets to leave.
Low angle, leather creeps, smoke moves slow, like it knows. Door side, not a word when he walks in. Coat on the back of that chair like a flag in a city he owns. He leans, elbow sinking in the leather, eyes on nothing, on everything. Shadows rearrange himself.
He never asks for space. He sits down and a room shakes. Nobody breathes till he's chosen his place. He never asks for space.
Half smile, glass waiting on the table. House smells louder than the talk. Someone clears a throat, regrets it. He tilts his head, lamp halo on his jawline. Questions hanging in the air, all of them answer to him. Every gaze drops one by one. Even the clock loses count. That slow inhale, that quiet thread. You feel your name in his silence.
He never asks for space. He sits down and the walls lose faith. Nobody calls till he loosens his gaze. He never asks for space.
Leather side, smoke cuts through the light. He stands, the room remembers how to move.
Door clicks once, dead hallway breath. He steps through, lets the silence speak. Pistol by the ledger, metal kissing ink, whiskey sweating circles on a desk they used to think. Shades half drawn and crooked, sitting muted to a hum. Clock hands crawl in circles like they know what's coming. In the thin lamplight, every shadow signs his name. He already knows the ending. He just has to play his frame. In the thin lamplight, where the verdict's carved in steel, he's the last man in the story who remembers how to feel. Chairs
head still turned to facing, empty but not clean. Ash cut into the blotter, forming dates he's never seen. Files bloom on the carpet, photographs face down. Someone's careful handwriting stitches names to this town. He lifts the glass, sees the room bend back. One slow breath keeps his trigger hand slack. In the thin lamplight, every shadow signs his name. He already knows the ending, he just has to play his frame. In the thin lamplight, dangerous patient playing dead. All the choices have been taken, all that's left is what was said. In the thin lamplight, he can feel the answer wait, sitting quiet in the corner, like a man who's made his fate. He kills a lamb, room folds into black. Footsteps in the hallway, stop, do not turn back. Dust in the floorboard seams, glass by the yellow lamp, smoke hanging over my name like an unfinished stamp. Ledger open, ink gone still, bills in a leaning stack, calendar squares crossed hard, still running behind the clock. Phone buzzing and going still, nobody hears it ring. They see the jacket on that hook, not the thread that's fraying thin. They only see the weight of the empty chair, never what it took just to drag it there. I stand up straight, hold this quiet line, carry all I carry and I still call it mine. People see the seat, not the cost I bear, just the weight of the empty chair. Voices printed on my desk, signed here, we'll call it done. Promises typed in bold, paid for one by one. Every choice a smaller room, every room a closing door. But I made each turn away, and I walked those miles once more. I don't ask for softer roads or lighter hands on my back. I just want the work I've done to stand up to the facts. When they talk in borrowed words about how easy this looks, chipped off paint. Let them read this weathered book. They only see the weight of the empty chair, never what it took just to drag it there. I stand up straight, hold this quiet line, carry all I carry, and I still call it mine. People see the sea, not the cost I bear, just the weight of the empty chair. Slow on the floor, whiskey leans toward the rim. Lamp burns low but steady. I stay in the room with it. Long corridor, amber glass humming, polished leather, clock hands drumming. Dust hangs steady like a waiting crowd. Floorboards answer, though we never loud. Cufflinks catching every quiet spark. His eyes already past the end, past the dark. He carries all his reasons in his shoulders, wears his choices in the creases of his coat. Every step a story, getting older, every silence saying more than spoken notes. He does not turn, he does not bow or bend. Is the way that other men pretend. Air tastes ancient, wax and paper skin, portrait faces measuring him in. Silver watch chain sways a measured swing. He walks through judgment like an understood thing. He carries all his reasons in his shoulders, wears his choices in the creases of his coat. Every step a story, getting older, every silence saying more than spoken notes. He does not turn, he does not bow or bend. He is the way that other men pretend. No apology hanging on his tongue. All his answers in the life he's done. Long light reaching down the oaken floor. He keeps going, needing nothing more. He carries all his reasons in his shoulders, wears his choices in the creases of his coat. Every step a story, getting older, every silence saying more than spoken notes. He does not turn, he does not bow or bend. He is a way that other men pretend. Leather breeze under my shoulder blade, cigar tip hanging like a small red moon. Glass in my hand tilts once then settles, whole room waiting on my next blame. I don't have to move the room. One slow nod turns the tide, stays a storm. Silence wearing my name in the corner. Power sitting easy in the way I exhale. City press, flat in a dark pane. My shoes still polished from another quiet wind. Clock hand stutters, thinks better, keeps its distance. Phone face down, yet every signal bends this way. Ice leans against crystal like it knows its place. Curtain barely breathing, afraid to disturb the air. Door closed, but you feel me from the hallway. Calm poured heavy, like money that forgot how to rust. Open fire, blue glow on his hands, a lamp humming over dust, rain counting on the glass, the ash in the tray, smoke gone hours ago, suit jacket on the chair, tie folded like a note not sent, clock at 2:14, whiskey ring on the desk. Glass untouched, phone face down, still lit, names waiting in a list he knows by heart. He breathes, looks at the numbers, looks at the door and stays in the chair that needs a body. Somebody signs their name at the bottom. Somebody takes a call when it's bad. Somebody holds a room while it's shaking, keeps his hand steady, voice flat. He measures away. Then he carries it, not because he's strong, because it is his to live. Rain leans harder, street a smear of chrome and black. Email draft open, sentence cut in half for the third time. He thinks her face is at that table. Laughter that stops when the hard part starts. The way they glance his way, like a habit, like a train track laid too long ago. His shoulders find the line they always find, not stiff, not soft, just there, like the water picture hangs on. Somebody signs their name at the bottom. Somebody back. He measures the cost in quiet minutes, leaves his own hunger lasting, walks it out, bill in hand, lights off, door locked. Clicks dark, screen goes black, whiskey still full, rain still working the window, coat over his arm, key in his palm. He leaves the smoke, takes the night with him.